Recently, goats and their products have been gaining more popularity in the US. In fact, they are currently the fastest growing livestock industry. Although they have not had a large economic impact yet, they are becoming more popular for meat, milk, and fiber because of changing demographics and lifestyle changes. Many people believe that goat meat and goat milk are a healthier choice because of their lean meat and their milk is easier to digest. They are economically valuable because they can convert low-quality forage like weeds and brush into quality lean meat and other products. A small herd like I have, about 20 goats, can be produced on 10 to 15 acres of pasture land, so goats can be raised on more than 90% of U.S. farms. The USDA reported as of January 1st, 2019, a total of 2.6 million goats and kids in the U.S. From the graph made by the National Agricultural Statistics Service, you can see that most goats in the U.S. are used for meat, followed by milk and fiber. This graph is the graph of the January 1st, 2019 goat inventory. Green is all the goats combined, gray is all the meat goats, blue is the milk goats, and red is the fiber or Angora goats. Although this is a small amount of goats compared to the cattle industry, which has 90 million head, or the swine industry, which has 65 million head, the number of goats in the U.S. is on the rise. In 2019, there were 137,000 goats used for fiber, 430,000 goats used for milk, and a little over 2 million goats were used for meat. Most goats in the U.S. are now used for meat, partly because the Wool Act of 1954 was terminated in 1995. It was a government price support program for wool and mohair. People who were raising goats for mohair no longer made enough income without the government payments. So instead of leaving the goat industry, people producing goats for fiber switched over to producing goats for meat. Most Angoras, which are the main breed used for fiber, are raised in Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and California. These goats give an average of 5.7 pounds of mohair per clipping. The average price per pound of mohair in 2018 was $5.25. The total value of mohair produced in 2018 was $3.9 million. Wisconsin and California raise about 25% of the total milk goats in the U.S. The dairy goat industry is relatively young in the United States, but demand for goat's milk has been steadily increasing since the 1990s. Goat farms can offer milk, cheese, ice cream, butter, lotion, soap, and other products. Depending on the diet and breed, a doe can produce a little over a gallon of milk per day. Goat milk sells for about $5 a gallon wholesale. Texas raises the most meat goats, with 37% of all the meat goats in the U.S. Texas is an ideal location for goats because of the extended grazing period and the opportunity to pasture year-round, which minimizes the cost of feeding hay in the winter months. Goat meat can be bought on the internet from Grand Natural Meat in Del Norte, Colorado, for about $10 a pound for ground meat and $20 to $30 a pound for choice cuts. The American Boar Goat Association estimates $30 million of goat meat is imported annually from Australia. The meat goat industry value is estimated to be $150 to $400 million annually in the U.S. This picture shows a blue dot for every 500 goats. As you can see, the southern and eastern states have the most. The demand for goats is inelastic, which means the demand is not sensitive to changes in price or income. People buy goat meat regardless of the cost because of their cultural and religious preferences. Many Eastern people eat goat for certain religious holidays. Also, the growth of the goat industry can be attributed to the demand for more goat meat from health-conscious communities or groups. A change in the U.S. population demographics has been the cause of an increase in demand for goat meat during recent years. The U.S. immigrant population has increased with 14 million new immigrants coming here between 2000 and 2010. Most of them were from developing countries like the Middle East, where they regularly consume goat meat. Growth of the goat industry will most likely continue with changes in U.S. population. Goats, which are mostly raised on free range, tend to be leaner than other livestock such as beef or pork. They are lower in cholesterol. Therefore, goat meat is gaining more acceptance from those who disliked it before. Goat farmers who want to maximize their profits would do well to sell during periods of high demand. Recently, the price of goats is on the increase. In 1998, top kids were selling for $60. In 2002, 4 years later, top kids were selling for $100. When I sold my meat goat kids this summer in 2019, a 60-pound kid was selling for $120 a head. The price of goats has doubled in the last 20 years. It is speculated that these prices will continue to increase, ceteris paribus. The supply of goat meat is elastic. A unit increase in the price of goats would result in a significant increase in the supply of goats. More people would raise goats if the price of goats went up. Also, a decrease in the price would lead to a reduction in the supply of goats. Some studies have been done regarding the economy of goats and found that the optimal herd size is about 60 goats or greater than 40 breeding does. U.S. meat goat industry would benefit from increases in farm size. More people are raising goats because of the healthy products that they produce and because the price of goats is high. But the goat farms need to be bigger so that farmers can actually make a profit. These are the sources that I used.